to tell us what has been happening. It's been 4 years now since
40?
Your debut. 40. Time has gone so fast though.
Yeah.
I can't believe when I was like researching that, I was like, are you kidding? 4? I know that's wrong, but it's been 4 years. So what's kind of like, give us a general overview of what's been happening for you.
Okay, I suppose like to go back 4 years ago, after we finished campaigning Crusader in New Zealand, things in Australia started taking off for us. So we spent a lot, like about another 2 years of working over there, because Australia's so big, so doing concerts and all that kind of thing. And then I came back and we got some interest in the UK, so me, Pimani and my manager Teresa, we relocated to London.
Wow.
We lived there for like 3.5 months, which I didn't really enjoy. Wasn't big on the UK. Because just because I'm from Christchurch, so going to the UK was like, oh. It was actually quite surprising because Australia, like who would have thought that they would really care about a little rapper from Christchurch? But it was actually the total opposite. The music they've just really embraced, and I've been like played every little pub in Australia and worked up my way to doing things like now I've done support for Jurassic 5 through Australia, Beastie Boys, and I've got another big support coming, but I can't even tell you because it hasn't even been announced yet. And yeah, it's just been surprising like how much they've embraced like New Zealand hip hop. Like I think off the back of us like touring there and doing our thing, doing Raid came through, Fast Crew, and so New Zealand has a real big presence in Australian hip hop. And yeah, I think we've just been really blessed that they have adopted us in a way, and been so receptive. The main thing I wanted to achieve was I really wanted to make the album that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Like I said before, there's a lot of influences. Like during the early stage of this album, people pulling me this way and see people saying, oh, you should do more of this. And I kind of just was like, hold up, I'm going to make the album that I want to make and use producers that I want to use. And so a lot of time was spent sourcing good production because, you know, good beats are hard to find these days. And I got beats in from all over the world, New York, to Germany, to UK, to Ireland, to all over the place. But at the end of the day, I found that the New Zealand producers that we have here are just as good as anywhere else. So I was like, why not use New Zealand producers? So predominantly, it's my friend Tene from Christchurch, aka Tenacious, who is producer of f.r.e.s.h and a couple of other tracks on the album. f.r.e.s.h, who are from West Auckland, who are making big waves here. They're on the PNC album, did most of his album. And I do have one track from New York, which is a funny story, some French guys that live in a Brooklyn basement across the road from Kirk Harding, who was a good friend of mine, who hooked it up. And Puff Daddy actually flew these guys from France over to New York to help him with his album.
Whoa.
But you'd think that Puff Daddy, you know, they must be in a mansion or something. Nah, these guys were slumming it in Brooklyn in a basement with a home studio trying to make beats for P. Diddy. So I got to go in there and have a listen to some beats, and I chose a whole bunch of beats, but finalized for the album, I got one track from them on it.
Wow, cool.
One track from an Australian guy. P Money's on there, and the rest is Tene and f.r.e.s.h.
Wow. Talib Kweli, he features on one of the tracks on your brand new album. Now, I hear he's a bit of an idol of yours.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, Talib Kweli and I are distributed by Warner Music.
Oh, wow, cool.
And so that's the connection, Warner Music. And so I found out that our contact in Australia could get my music to Talib.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, can you get this? I have this idea for the song. Here's the beat. It's a f.r.e.s.h beat.
Yeah.
Song's good, everything's going to be all right. And it's a song I wrote about a friend of mine who was going through a real tough time with things like P, and I don't know if I can say that on the show, but and drugs and just typical New Zealand teenage problems. So I wrote the song, everything's going to be all right. And I thought, Talib Kweli could really like rip this up. And so I got my man over in Aussie, and he got it to Talib. Long story short, Talib liked it, rang him, said let's do it. Next thing you know, me and P Money in New York at Talib Kweli's studio, and I'm sitting there with the dude, like one of my idols, really trying hard not to get starstruck, but I'm just totally starstruck, and I'm just like, oh, I couldn't even look him in the eye. Hi.
Could you like talk? Could you form words?
I couldn't. No, I couldn't. I said something real dumb. Like I came in, I was like, it's an honor to meet you. And he was like, it's an honor to meet you too, man. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Okay. And then we started talking about Explore, how he was here.
Yeah.
And he really loved New Zealand, and that was a really good thing for me because he couldn't stop raving about how awesome Explore was, and awesome time he had here, and he kind of started dissing Australia because he encountered some racism there. So I kind of had to give him the little 411 on, well, Australia is rah-da-rah, and this is what happened there, and da-da-da. And so we actually got on a house on fire, spent the whole day in the studio, and we got some Thai and had food, and then he was like, do you want to stick around while I do my mixtape? And that's like, people talking about he shouts me out on his mixtape. That's how that eventuated, was because I was actually there when he was recording.